Reading is a great way to reduce stress, but there are a lot of different ways to read these days. You could read a physical paper book, you could read on your phone, you could read on a tablet, you could read on a dedicated e-ink device like a Kindle. Each of these has its pros and cons, but what's the best strategy for you? Stick around and let's find out. In my last video, I talked about the top 5 ways to reduce stress, and reading was the first one on the list. In this video, we're going to go through what are your different options for reading, because these days, like I said in the little intro, you could read on a physical book, you could read on your cell phone, a tablet, or on an e-ink device. We're going to go through the pros and cons of each one of these, and at the end, I'm going to sneak in one extra bonus method. So be sure you stick around for that. Okay, so the first option we're going to look at is a physical book. It is the oldest way to read, and in a lot of ways, it's still a really great way to read. One of the things that's nice is it's very easy to carry around a book. It has crazy sharp resolution. You don't have nearly as much eye strain as you have with some of the other options. No batteries are needed, and you don't need the internet. And because you don't have the internet, you probably have never been reading a physical book and had a pop-up interruption from someone from the book. It's also great in bright light. Now, for the cons, you really can't use it in the dark unless you have something like a flashlight, some additional light source. It pretty much dissolves in water, and it's hard to carry more than one book at the same time. And also in the less expensive paperbacks especially, the color, it's really hard to have good color photographs. Okay, next up is your cell phone. The number one advantage of the cell phone is you probably always have it with you. I know I feel completely lost without my cell phone. If I leave home without my cell phone, I will go back to get it. You also have the advantage that on this one device, you could carry hundreds or thousands of individual books, and it adds no additional weight or size. It also has a really nice screen for the most part. However, you can see reflections very easily in it. It also has really good color representation, so you can get very nice looking photographs in it. Depending on the phone that you have, it may be quite water resistant. It depends on the phone that you have. My iPhone 8 Pro I've actually used to record video underwater in the ocean, so I really shouldn't do that, but I did. It's also really great for reading in the dark. You can normally put it in some kind of a dark mode, and it will give you a dark background with light text, which is easier on the eyes when you're reading in the dark. Now for the cons. It is absolutely terrible in bright light, as you saw a second ago just with a reflection of my light here. You also get built-in distractions. People are constantly popping up with a message or a reminder, or something will happen. Like I said in the pros list, a lot of them are water resistant, but not all. So if you get water on your phone, it could damage it, depending on the model. The last real con is that they are quite expensive, or at least they can be quite expensive. But the flip side of that is you already have a smartphone, and you probably could start reading on it today if you chose to do so. Okay, so the next option is a tablet like an iPad. It has all the same pros and cons as a cell phone, but it is larger, and it arguably has the best color representation of any of the options, including physical books. Now for the cons that are cons in addition to what you would have with a cell phone, it's usually not going to be waterproof to any level. It's also going to be heavier and larger than your cell phone, and you may not already have one, meaning that this would be an additional expense. Okay, the last one on the list, other than our secret bonus that we're going to look at in a second, is an e-ink reader like the Kindle. Much like a printed book, it has a very crisp and clear display, and it's very good in bright light. On the con side, it's a bit expensive if you don't already have one. Much like the tablet, it becomes an additional cost. If you want to read in the dark, you'll need a light to do so, unless you have one of the models that has a built-in light. Water resistance is dependent on the model that you get. Some are water resistant, some are not at all water resistant, so be sure you check if you want to read in or near water. The last con is that the screen is quite fragile, at least in my case. I put it into a backpack, pulled it out, and had a tiny crack in the screen that will haunt me to the end of my days. Before we go on to the secret final method, please take a moment to click the like button if you've enjoyed this video, subscribe if you'd like to have more, and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss an episode. Okay, so now for the secret extra way to read. That's going to be audiobooks. Audiobooks are an obvious advantage if you have any visual impairment, but they're also good if you're using your eyes for something else at that moment. I find audiobooks to be quite immersive. When I'm listening to them, I can shut out the rest of the world. I can also listen while I'm doing something else, be it cleaning the house, doing the dishes. I'm not going to say you should listen to it while you're driving, but some people may choose to do that. The last advantage is that you can listen on your phone, which, as we've said, you probably already have a smartphone. And now let's talk about the cons. It can be a bit overwhelming at first. You can feel like you're being force-fed a book because it starts and it keeps going. You don't get those moments to stop and ponder and think about what you've just read. It's also difficult to navigate backwards or forwards. It's pretty much a linear experience. It can also be expensive, especially if you're already getting another version of the book. You have the option of subscription services like Audible if you like. So which is best for you? That really depends on you and how, when, and where you like to read books. If you want to read on the beach, you're going to want something that's great in bright light, like a physical book or an e-ink device. If you like to read in the dark, you're going to want something with its own light, like your cell phone or your tablet or one of the e-ink devices. If you want to listen to a book while you're doing something else, then an audiobook is perfect for you. For me, it's a combination. I do all of these things. So when I'm outdoors, I will use my Kindle or a physical book. If I want to read just wherever I happen to be, I'll pull out my cell phone. I'll use my iPad if I have a book with lots of graphics like a textbook or a graphic novel. And of course, if I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll whip out a good old paper book. Okay, so I just picked all of the options essentially. So what if I had to pick just one? If I were really backed into a corner and said I could only have one of these options, I would go with the cell phone. It's always with me. I can carry a library on it. I can listen to audiobooks on it and pretty much enjoy books in any format. Okay, so I hope that helped. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and let other people know about the video. It would also help if you would leave a comment down in the comment section. If you would like to see more content of this sort, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. So make sure you check out other videos in our channel if you would like to learn how to live better, live longer, and schedule tranquility into your life. Take care, everybody.